Times are changing, and so are customer expectations with automotive service. Customers expect service that comes to them wherever they are. Trust through transparency. Show them, don't tell them. They don't want to wait in line in a waiting room for a payment request or for a response. They want the confidence of knowing they made a good decision to use your franchise dealership for service. And so do you. My Karma Solutions help you keep up with changing times. You can't afford to be on the losing end of customer expectations. Visit our website and schedule a demo. We'll show you how My Karma keeps you in the winner's circle. We're offering a $50 gift card for your time and a $50 matching donation to the 501c3 charity of your choice. Just mention 50 in your demo request. Service is evolving. Shouldn't you?
Hey, you know what? I got to say this. Things are beginning to really accelerate here. We got the Auto Minor panel next, so stay tuned for that. It's followed by Tully Williams. And then, don't say it. No, yeah, just don't. Yeah, I know what you're doing because you always do it. Yeah. What I always do? What do I always do? Oh, you're going to say I'm speaking after Tully when it's really Owen Moon. No, I wasn't going to say that. I wasn't going to say Owen Moon. You're so full of yourself. You know that? You're actually so full of yourself. Hey, you're just jealous because I'm playing Mobius in the Loki TV show. Mister, I can only produce shows now. I can't act anymore because I shook Trump's hand at a football game. Okay, whatever.
I'm the parts operations director here at Toyota Richardson. I've been in the business for 25 plus years. We sell currently $2 million a month in OE Toyota parts. We have a high volume used car department here at Toyota Richardson, and 13 months ago when I arrived at the dealership, the used car department was using a vendor that would come out twice a week to cut keys for their used cars, because our commitment to our customers is to have 2 keys with every used car sold. And our old solution was having a locksmith come out, which really wasn't a good solution in my book. When I got here, I didn't see the benefit of that. We were waiting around and having to bring customers back, which becomes a CSI issue for the dealership, and in this day and age, CSI is everything. So being able to have the smart box, the Condor key cutter, and having keys in inventory end up just empowering us to be able to service a customer the whole time we're open. So working with Auto Remote Direct, I was able to set up a key program, allow the parts department to sell the keys, and allow our used car technicians to actually program those keys to the vehicle and keep all that revenue in the dealership. We're open 72 hours a week. We cut keys and program them all 72 hours. We have technicians and parts staff here, and that's definitely a better solution for us than twice a week a locksmith coming out. We're able to facilitate the purchase of all our keys for all makes, all models, not just Toyotas, which is a big benefit for us. We have the smart box, which allows us to program these keys to the vehicle, which the technicians, we have 7 used car technicians here at Toyota Richardson. They love it. It's so easy. Basically, it's a couple of clicks to get the process started. And it's just for all makes, all models. We didn't have a key machine here, so we were having to use a locksmith to cut some of our keys, and even going to other dealerships to cut high security side mill keys. So we ended up purchasing the Condor machine, and we've had a lot of success with that machine. It's super easy to use. My guys love it. Allows us to put the key SKU code from Auto Remote Direct right into the Condor, and that automatically knows which head to use and cuts the key instantly. Fixed a pain point we had at the dealership in cutting a second key for a customer. All my counter guys, they all use the app to look up keys for non-Toyota vehicles. It's just been a super easy process for the guys. In my 25 plus years, Auto Remote Direct has probably been one of the seamless, easiest programs to launch, and probably one of my most successful. We were able to generate in-house $60,000 a month in revenue. That's between parts and labor. When it comes to used cars, it's all about cost of reconditioning these used cars, and the price of these keys are priced right, and this key program was a huge boost to us in 2019 for all departments.
Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, everyone. I'm Gene Girdley, along with Ted Ings, your host. And I'm really excited to welcome back Aaron Sheeks from the Auto Miner. Thanks for being on the program.
Hey, Gene, thanks for having me, and excited to have the guest as well. Thanks for having us.
Everyone, we want to welcome back Aaron Sheeks, a great friend of the Fixed Ops Roundtable here on day 2. And Aaron is the president of the Auto Miner. And Aaron, it seems like every day I see another announcement from the Auto Miner on another conquest, another dealership, dealer group. You guys are growing and expanding. So congratulations on all the success that you're having.
Yeah, thank you very much. We've been really fortunate, I think, to have a great product at a right time. And the Fixed Ops Roundtable has been a big piece of kind of helping us on our journey. And I think if it's okay, I'd like to invite the guests that we have here. We have Chris Martinez, platform manager for the Jackie Cooper Auto Group and partner here, at the Auto Miner. Really, it's his brainchild. So it's always good to bring it and hear Chris's opinion. And then great friends of the Auto Miner, partner at Blink AI, Mr. Dale Duke. Thank you for joining us and good to be here. And then the man that really needs no introduction, CEO of CarBiz Dud Benner, Mr. Sean Welsh. Excited to see the next video, sir, and thank you for having us. So, guys, I think the forum here today, I'll kick out some questions. I'll put in my banter, of course, a little bit here. And I'm really just excited to hear your guys' feedback and things that we've learned from the different angles of coming at the business here. So I'll kick it off here, Chris, if you want to start. Really, I think the one question we're having all the time is, where do I start in my fixed ops department as we're trying to communicate with folks, increase ROs? Is do I start with new customer acquisition or a conquest acquisition, or do I focus more on customer retention? Which one do you kind of start, and then how would you communicate to maybe those a little bit differently? Chris, if you can go first.
So anytime I've gone into any dealership, I've always looked at our retention. Like, what are we doing to retain our current business? Can we increase that? Because I always focus on what we have. It's kind of like that low hanging fruit, right?
Right.
But you got to make sure you have the right tools and the right processes to have that retention base. And then to go after new customers, it's really that you got to rely on a lot of it on your sales department to increase those sales numbers to get, the quickest way to get units in operation, sell more cars, right? So the idea is, both of the departments should be working together to work to feed each other, right? And then of course there's also, mailers and stuff for new conquests that you can always go after by trying to get anybody that your competitors might have been selling out of pre-owned and try to get those customers, and instead of having them go to GP Lube or to those places, you want them to go to your actual dealership. But I think for the most part, you communicate with them pretty similar, and that you're going to treat them right, and you're a great place to get their vehicle done and taken care of. So I don't know that the message is necessarily completely different. You got to make sure you have a message, and then 2, you're actually going out and trying to get that customer.
Sure. Thanks, Chris. I think Sean, coming from a little bit of a different angle and looking at it from, different brands, different dealerships across the country, do you think there are dealers out there that are maybe trying to communicate to customers differently in those 2 different buckets, or where do you think?
Yeah, man, I think I've been saying this for a long time, for probably the last year before all this even started, that we've been dealing with. One-to-one communication is always going to be your best opportunity. Whether that's in marketing to your sales department or your marketing to your service department, you already have these people as customers, right? You've already made that relationship. So you have to focus on what Chris is talking about. I mean, you got to retain what you have. You can't be losing it. What is it? We get the first oil change for free, and then we never see like 60% of these people, whatever the craziness is behind it. And it's completely unnecessary. I think there's a lot of myths about them being more expensive, this, that. Look, man, I got a 07 Subaru as my child. I only take it to a master technician of a Subaru dealership. It's got 169,000 miles on it. I still don't care. I'm very specific, right? But no one reaches out to me. And I find it the oddest thing ever. No one ever sends me a sales message or hey, it's been a while. We haven't seen you for service from the places that I have gone. So I think a lot of people still struggle with it. But my advice is don't overthink it. There's too many great programs. Again, Auto Miner being one of them, many of them, there are a ton of them out there for people to look at. My point is you still have to have a process. Chris said it, whatever it is, have a process for retention, have a process for new customers, but make sure your new customers come through your service drive when they buy cars, okay? No matter what, it has to be a part of the process for the sales team to bring that through, no doubt.
Yeah. Thanks, Sean. And that's one of the big focuses we do at the AutoMiner is day one. What is the plan of communicating to customers that you sold in the last 30, 60 days to get them back in here? And then how do we go about it? I think Dale, this tees up the next one really nicely for you. You're kind of coming at from the vendor angle where you're developing technology, really tip of the spear stuff to help convert folks and make it easier for them to do business with us at the dealer level. So what do you think maybe there's one thing that dealers need to do better in 2021 to communicate with those customers to make it just easy to do business with us in fixed ops?
Changing the platforms where the customers are, right? So we rely a lot on emails right now, and that's just it's really gone away. 5 years ago, emails were really a thing; they really worked. Now we've got a 20% open rate. So where the customers are now are on messaging platforms. So if we can shift towards that, so text messaging, 90% open rate. People are communicating on Facebook Messenger, and so those kinds of platforms are where those one-on-one communications, like Sean was talking about, that's where those are occurring. And if we can so shift towards that. That's what I think is the really important right now.
Yeah. Well,
sorry, Aaron. I was going to say, Dale, I think you nailed it, man. That's really the point is meet the customer where they want to be met. I stress it a ton on the sales side, but the service department, even more so. Like customers don't want to have to be inconvenienced by what you're looking to do or when you're looking to do it. Same thing goes for chat products on websites for service departments. Like have people available to make real answers, have real conversations. So nice call, Dale.
Well, I can add to it a little bit in that, so you'd mentioned chat. And so one of the new innovations with chat is that they're starting to recognize the customer. So when you come back, you'll see in the corner of the screen there, hey, welcome back, right? So, that kind of persistence is really going to be important. So if you think about something like an Amazon where you go back there and, it already knows who you are and it has suggestions for you and all of that, recognizing the customer and then making it easy to do business. So that's another piece of that, of that one-on-one communication.
Yeah, great, Dale. I think you hit that exactly. I think your tool at Blink AI does a really good job of capturing that stuff. Chris, I'm curious from an operations standpoint, is this something that maybe you're looking to make a bigger push in 2021 versus 2020, just with the change in maybe driving habits or things that we've seen with the change of environment from the customer standpoint? Are you making that more of a push to get towards platforms in 21? Or do we still think the dealers are maybe catching up to the curve there?
I don't see dealers catching up to it. I think that they need to, but I think the biggest thing is you have to make it easier for the customer to communicate. So one of the reasons why I like using Blink AI, because I use it at our store too, is the ease of converting an actual appointment online, via phone, however, and then with the AutoMiner sending out those communications where it's easy to interact with the dealership. A lot of times we make so many form fill, call to action buttons that are so long. It takes a while for customers to fill out the actual form, and the more seamless you can actually get these actual tools, the easier for the customer and for your salespeople, your service advisors, your BDC agents. The easier you can make these tools, the better it's going to make for everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Thanks, Chris. I think you're right. We're all trying to find the answer of how do we increase service ROs at a time where maybe we've seen a decrease year over year with just folks and changing driving habits. And we know that they're going to come from our backyard. And we talk a lot about leveraging zip codes and market share areas and places where we have the ability to move the needle inside of that. And those are conversations that we have. And I think to your guys' point, dealers are finding more and more important to communicate on the fixed outside of the house with those customers directly. So I think, and as I'm brainstorming for these questions, is what's 10 years look like from now? I think if we look at 10 years ago, how we communicated to customers, it's night and day. So I guess quickly, and Dale, we'll let you kick it off here and we'll run it around the horn. What do you think we're going to be doing in 2030 or 2031 from a fixed op side of the world that we're not doing today to acquire new customers?
I think that in-car communications is going to be a big thing. So already we're seeing like Alexa move into cars, and we're seeing these infotainment centers really expanding and really growing. And I think that that's where we're going to see, and of course, electric cars, that's going to make a big change to us as well. But think about, if your check engine light comes on, why can't you just talk to Alexa or talk to your infotainment system and give some information, schedule a service appointment or something like that. I think that's where we're going to see a lot of changes taking place is in the the in-car communication aspect.
Awesome, Sean. You think your Subaru is going to be able to be rocking the Amazon Alexa integration in 2030?
Yeah, I was just worried about that. Here I was sitting here thinking like, wait, I don't even use Alexa, so I'm gonna have to rely on Google in my car. Just like I'll just put this on the front seat, right? And it'll act as the same thing. It just won't do anything. No, dude. Look, as far as we go in the future, I do have the Subaru. My other car is a brand new car with brand new tech in it. And I see what Dale's talking about, man. I'm already kind of being pushed down that road with just some of the features and options that are available in these newer luxury cars. So it's different, but I still got to tell you, I just showed it, but this is still going to be the way to everyone's heart, even in 2030. It might be smaller, it might be bigger, it might be faster, whatever. But all this does is get more important to the way you communicate with customers. So as long as you can do everything from that, then I think most tech can fit inside of that.
It might be built more into that phone might be in your car.
I was just thinking, if we're thinking we need to transform or transition our communication platforms to individual channels or places where customers are at, 10 years from now, are those channels the same as they are today? Do they change? Do they have to be in the phone? Does the phone have to be in the car for us to communicate those things? I guess I'll circle back here after Chris's thoughts, but I think the technology of linking cars to human beings is going to be very interesting from a data perspective. But Chris, what do you think? 2031, what are we doing that we're not doing today?
Well, it's hard to say that. I think what Dale's saying, the infotainment center in the actual vehicle, Alexa type things. But if Elon Musk has anything to do with it, it's going to be Neuralink. You're going to just be able to think it, and you're just going to it's going to be. You just think you want a service appointment, and it's going to go into scheduled appointment. So that's going to be pretty interesting.
So you're saying so self-driving automated cars that are going to read our minds and automatically schedule service based on when we think we can make it?
Man, just look at what they're doing at Neuralink and you'll understand.
Hey,
yeah, that's scary though, Chris. Everything about that is 2031 already scares me more than 2020. I'm not going to lie to you, because
2030, you're already going to have the majority of the cars electric, right? 2025, 50% of every vehicle made is going to be electric. And then by 2030, you're going to be closer to, with our current administration, we're going to be closer to the 80-90% probably. And then so the next thing is, hey, that Neuralink, I mean, those guys, Elon Musk, I mean, he's got a team over there doing some amazing things.
I heard he's sleeping on the factory floor as well to be completely involved with his team. So with the new invention of Clubhouse and he pops in and shares some things every once in a while, it's interesting to get his take. Kind of an ad hoc question here, if you will. As being a former aviator and being into airplanes and heads-up displays and autopilots and those types of things in a former life, I'm curious to think, and this wasn't a question we planned, but when we start looking at heads-up displays and self-driving cars and things that are going to recognize our voices, I guess I'm curious where you guys think, where do we draw the line of connecting those voice recordings, data per car, VIN number, all of the stuff that our car is going to start saving? Where do we draw the line on tying that to a human being, on tying that to where you live or where you shop or where you buy things? Is there a line, and should there be one? Dale, go ahead.
Unfortunately, that cat's out of the bag, right? So they're already tied to us very closely. Our data, our phones spew massive amounts of data all the time. There are obviously some ethical questions concerning that. And that's top of the news at the moment. And I think that will continue in that way. We've seen Europe make some changes in terms of data privacy and safeguarding data. I'd like to see the U.S. move in that direction a little bit more. But there's a convenience side of it as well. I mean, so it is super, super convenient to have that kind of connection. Just want to make sure that it's used properly.
Sure. Sean, what do you think? Is privacy bigger issue moving forward, or do we think we're just going to accept the fact that everybody already knows everything about us?
So look, I struggle because I know everyone knows everything about me, right? I already have a smartphone, so I get all that. I'm totally dialed into that. But self-driving cars don't interest me. Driving my car interests me. That's what I get it. I understand what the future is going to look like and all these other things. But I think ahead to how much tech sits in my brand new car, a 2020 edition. And I love getting in my Subaru. It's 07. It's got nothing. It's got a green little clock in it. That's it. It has a 6-disc changer. I don't even have a CD player in my new car. So the idea of this whole thing getting bigger and more Big Brother, not concerning. But me losing the control to do what I do and love and hit the road and be in my car, and drive it and be involved in that sounds boring.
I think you just described transportation as a need versus transportation as a hobby or as an interest.
The desire of mine. I love to be in my car. I'll get in my car and drive 2 hours round trip to do a 2-mile hike because I don't care. I love being on the road. I love being in the car. So that's me.
Yep, couldn't agree more. Chris, what do you think? Data is such a huge piece of your business and what you do every single day.
It's everything, and I'm all about the convenience. I got to be honest. I really don't like driving. If I could just be in my car and get work done on my way to work, would be so much better for me. I mean, it really. I hate the fact that the phone listens to me, but when I'm typing something and it knows what I'm already going to type, I think that's super convenient. Autocorrect, everything that makes my life easier, I'm all about.
I think I'm right there with you. I think the blend of convenience might outweigh the security piece because, to Sean's point, I have a smartphone. They already know it anyways, right? So unless you're really, really dedicated to hide yourself and have a smartphone and really smart, I think they know anyway. So I lean a little bit more towards convenience with the caveat that I think Dale's right. We have to protect certain things at certain levels because who knows what it's going to be used for down the road. So next question here, and I think we're getting more and more, we'll call it controversy, or I'm calling it the attack on retail auto dealers by companies like a Carvana or a Vroom or these third-party auto retailers, right? They've certainly gained a buzz. They've got plenty of traction. They're household names, I think, at this point a lot of times. How is that impacting our ability to bring in new service business, not to mention retention, because we got to get them to us first. If we didn't sell the car and Carvana did, should we be nervous that we're going to lose service ROs? And how do we get some of those back? If so, Chris, what do you think?
Well, that's where your conquest comes into play too, right? I mean, those people have already proven they don't have a service facility, so no one's taking care of them. As a matter of fact, I'm looking strongly at getting an ad out saying that, making fun of them and basically saying, hey, you don't have a service department. Every time you sell a car, your customers are coming to us and we're taking care of them and we're treating them right. And guess what? We're retaining them on that end. But as long as they continue to stay out of the service game, we'll be able to pick those people up, treat them right, and we're going to sell them another car at some point if we do lose them the first go around. But as a dealer, you gotta just be on top of your game. Don't lose them in the first place, and do what you can to amplify your current efforts that you are the player in the city. So I think that's where I stand on that.
Yeah, I mean, safe to say that first service visit, if they do give you a shot, that first service visit is pretty essential to retaining those folks over and over again. Sean, this is near and dear to your heart. So I'm excited to see, what do you think? How are these guys impacting us from a fixed op side, and how do we protect ourselves, or how do we maintain the serviceability or grow, knowing that they're going to move some units?
Yeah, you need to thank them because they don't have service departments. Chris already said it. So car online, whatever it is that you do, which Chris can do today, Chris already does it today. The only difference is Chris has humans who help when you get there, not some vending machine out of the 25th century. And he has people to escort you through a service department, explain the car that you've purchased. You cannot replace human contact in any part of this whole journey that we're talking about. You cannot replace it. So Chris already has technicians. He has what he needs. I thank them. I conquest them. Chris, I love your idea. I take it a step further. I tell you to go specifically into the markets. If they're heavy in your market, go heavy in them. Go heavy against them on a service message. Don't compete on sales. They're not looking at sales. But you can get in front of their customers on the service side of things, advertising, messaging, OTT, pre-roll. Guys, the list goes on of inexpensive ways to put out a message from Chris that says, bought your car from a vending machine? Great. Bring it to our service department. Meet real people. Like, there's just so many ways to have fun. And look, They can do it to us. They can make it seem like we're still the dregs of society and it's pathetic to buy a car the old way. Well, then let's go after them and their inefficiencies and what they don't have and exploit the shit out of it. Like, I just would rather go after this way than sit back and let it come. But as far as service goes, thank you for not having a service department. Now come to my dealership.
Yeah, I couldn't. I actually, you and I are pretty passionate dudes, so I think we tend to get fired up on things. But this is so important. I think today in service drives, I wish they'd put a Carvana next to every dealer partner that I have, so that I can just thank them for easy and free service ROs for the next 3 to 5 years. And then, oh, by the way, we'll do better customer service and we're going to sell them the next car anyways.
Yeah, but Aaron, don't let that part go past, man. The service is still the key. You can't just lay up on these people. You have to set a better example. You know, it's like the fancy restaurants that put out the white napkins knowing you're the first time, or a red napkin meaning you've been there before, right? Because the white napkins are going to get just a touch better, just a touch different to bring you back. Not that the red napkins are any less, but you have to be great at the process.
No, I think you're right. Having that first impression being great and then keeping a really solid process throughout their entire relationship with you is super key. Dale, Sean said something really interesting, that you can't replace the human being in the process. You, sir, are quite literally building tools to replace the human being from a lot of these processes, because I think we just know that sometimes human beings are inefficient. And although I agree with Sean that there are massively key at certain processes, they're also an inefficient or expensive piece in the process. And sometimes technology can be a bit of a bridge. So your thoughts, I suppose, on, are they a threat? Should we be worried? And what can we do with technology to bridge those folks from the Carvanas of the world over to our service departments?
First thing I'd say is watch out. I think Carvana is building service departments. So I think that's going to be much harder for them to bite off than they think that it is. I think that the used car sales has been a lot harder to bite off than they thought that it would be. I don't think that they're a particular threat to us right now, other than the concept of, that Carvana customer is really trying to avoid the dealer. He's not trying to get a better deal, because he's not getting a better deal. I mean, any of us that have really looked at it know that those are not particularly better deals. They have a lot of cars coming back as well. They don't spend the money in the recon. So I'm with Sean. I'd like to see, move in a Carvana next to me and watch out, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing Chris's ads. I'm sure they'll be awesome. In terms of the communication, I think that there's some places, not everywhere, but I think some places where you can automate things, take the human being out of it and just make it more efficient. And so something like, something simple, like, all I want to do is schedule a service appointment. I don't need to talk to anybody. I just need to schedule a service appointment. Well, you can do that more efficiently than interrupting a service advisor and have him, turn his attention away from that customer that he's working with to stop and for 5 minutes, schedule a service appointment. It's not particularly better unless the customer has questions or concerns, in which case it's way, way better. Right. But if it's just a simple transaction, then I think you can automate a lot of that. But it has to be simple. We're not there in terms of chat bots and stuff like that, to where they can answer complicated questions. It's just simply not there.
Sure. I think I wasn't really sure where we would go with that question. I think it gets a lot of controversy both ways. I think we're all on the same page as please put a bunch of cars into rotation and let me service them when you can't. And Dale, I guess we'll keep an eye out to see if they can find some good techs. Guys, we got time for one more question, 30 seconds apiece here if you can. We mentioned 2021, obviously 2020 pandemic, lots of different changing and patterns and year over year things that we've noticed in different places, some for the better and some maybe not. And now I think a lot of dealers, that we're talking to are seeing a little bit of slowdown in service ROs year over year, just because folks aren't driving as much. They're not wrecking into each other as much. There's not normal maintenance. I think just it's normal things, right? So if you are one of those dealers, and I know that Chris, you're not, and Sean doesn't consult for anybody that is, but because you guys do have such a wealth of knowledge, if you're a dealer, you're watching Fixed Ops Roundtable at 30 seconds, what's the first thing you have to do, I guess, to try to bring back some of those ROs or increase or pull folks forward to keep your RO count here in the next 60, 90 days back up year over year? Mr. Martinez, kick us off.
If you don't have a BDC, get one. I mean, you can tell me your service advisors are going to make the calls. I've just seen it way too many times. You need to get a service BDC yesterday.
Love it. If they don't have one, should they outsource one?
Anything they need to do to get one.
It's that essential. That essential. Thanks, Chris. Sean, 30 seconds. What do we got to do to increase ROs if we're feeling a little slow, if we're feeling a little pullback? What's the first thing you tell them to do?
I don't want to hope I'm not stealing this from Dale, but you got to meet them where they want to be met, man. You got to use that one-to-one communication platform with the best of your ability, with precise, specific messaging, addressing exactly what you just said. Hey, we know you haven't been driving a lot, but driving's getting ready to pick back up as everything opens up. Like, make the message about what's about to happen, right? Don't worry about being ahead of the curve. Be the curve, okay? Stay at the top of your game and worry about yourself. Do not worry about others. Worry about yourself. Make your processes tight.
Ooh, that, like, I want to unpack everything you just said right there for a whole nother 30-minute panel. Focus on yourself might be the single best advice that I've heard. If you don't know your process and it's not humming and you can't feed yourself, there's no sense in going and trying to conquest or spend money or listen to the next thing that's supposed to bring your RO count up to the sky. You have to worry about yourself first. Mr. Dale, last piece here. I hope Sean didn't steal your answer, but what's the one thing that they can do to increase ROs if we're feeling a little slow so far?
Especially if you're in an urban area, if you can start emulating what the grocery stores are doing, to where you have grocery deliveries that are happening now. So if you can offer that convenience, we've seen a number of our customers that are offering pickup and delivery. There's an increase in usage of companies like Redcap, and so if you can offer that convenience, people are taking it.
Yeah.
And I think that's another cat that's out of the bag. Once this COVID thing is over, and hopefully soon, but once it's over, I think that a lot of customers are just, it's how nice that we got picked up. The car got picked up.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, Dale. I think that was going to be my piece, was if you're not VIPing, if you're not picking up, if you're not delivering inside your tight knit kind of area, it's the quickest way. It's the best way to get back out and get with folks. So guys, thank you so much. Looks like we have the leaders of the Fixed Ops Roundtable Empire joining us here. So certainly thanks for the questions in the Q&A. And Ted, back to you, sir.
Hey, I just want to thank everybody so much. I want to thank Dale and Sean and Chris, first timers here at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Very impressive. And we'd like to invite you all back. So, great information, great insights. And, Aaron, great work in assembling this team to have this conversation. Very timely, more now so than ever. In fact, I would imagine that a lot of people in our audience would like to ask some questions to Aaron about the Auto Miner and some fixed ops questions as well. So rather than call me up and ask me, hey, how do I get a hold of Aaron? Aaron's going to be available right now, if that's all right. We're going to put a QR code up on the screen that will take you to a Zoom room. So if you would open your smartphone, everybody, go ahead, open the camera, scan that QR code, and that'll take you to a room, and Aaron will be in there to answer some questions, do a little bit of networking, a little schmoozing, and you guys can find out a little bit more about each other and make it the perfect fit. So Aaron Sheeks, thank you so much. Great honor to have you.
Thank you guys so much. Enjoy the show.
Aaron, it was fantastic. What a great panel. Appreciate everyone on this panel. And folks, don't go away, because we've got Tully Williams, the Tully Button Man, coming up right after this. Well, welcome back, everyone, to Rev It Up. And we're also welcoming back our fan favorite and the face behind the Tully buttons, Tully Williams. Tully, thanks for coming back again.
Thank you so much, Gene and Ted. It's an honor and a privilege, I feel, to be part of this great event. And I'm telling you, Rev It Up, wow, what an event.
Tully, you rev it up at all of our events. And
well, I appreciate that.
This one is no exception. So we've really enjoyed the content that you've put together for this, and also the way that you deliver it as well. So we're excited to learn more about fixed operations and your unique insight into it coming from your company, which is, I understand, celebrating an anniversary this year.
We are super excited. 100 years in business. Our centennial. We cannot wait to have the great celebration this year. 100 years in business means a lot.
That's a long time. Hey, in the retail car business, right?
And they started as a Packard Aero service center. They started and fixed.
No way.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Oldest Porsche dealer in the United States, oldest Audi dealer in the United States, single owner.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Right there in Sacramento, California.
Right in Sacramento, California. And
All
hopefully here shortly, by next year, we'll have the youngest dealership because we're adding another Porsche dealer as well.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Continued growth and great job that you're doing there. So fantastic. I know the success you're having. Okay.
Okay.
You got a special segment for us.
Yes, I do.
On hours and I understand pay plans too.
Pay plans too. I think everybody knows that I am just a freakoid about hours. My good friend Randy Brinkman's the one that kind of got me hooked on it. And I want to show the importance of the hours. And the thing when we talk about the hours is that what do we sell? We don't sell dollars. We don't sell dollars. We don't sell all these matrices that we talk about. When on our first event, we were talking with David at Cox, and we were talking about tech recs and same day selling, but that all is selling hours. So what we want to talk about is how do we measure, how do we keep that KPI in everybody's mindset? Two is that we can't sell yesterday's hours. It's kind of like airplane seats and ice cream. When the airplane leaves, we're done, and ice cream melts tomorrow. So it's really about having that focus. There's so many KPIs out there, I believe, that are just so old. I am not an hours per RO fan. I'm not a dollars per RO fan at all. I want to sell the inventory of our technicians. That's the key issue. When we talk about inventory, we also want to be very high on is text to writers. Why is that? Because it's all about the hours. In some matrices I've seen, it says, Tully, we use 5 text to 1 advisor. And I look at that and say, 5 text to 1 advisor. If I'm doing 10 hours a day, that's 50 hours this poor guy's got to sell every day. It does not work. So we want to make sure is that we have the ability of our great world-class advisors to sell their capacity every day. This is the reason why I believe 3 to 1 is that number, which could be up to 30 hours per day the service writer must sell. And then the next piece, which I think is the biggest piece, is does our pay plans focus on this or go against it? If we look at hours per RO as a bonus structure, think about this. Do you want your grandmother or relative to be at a service writer's desk asking for something on the last day of the month when he is 1/10 of an hour away? I can almost, I hate to say this, guarantee that you might be a little oversold. And if we focus on that, that goes against selling our capacity. It's more about selling the hours every day. And then, if we make it right, the good thing about it is that we get the whole department. And I mean the whole department. I mean the writers, of course, the technicians have always been paid. But think about this. Can you imagine that if we have our parts counter people actually paid on the hours forecast? Can you imagine we get a little Jeppy up on the step? Maybe they'll bring out the part. Maybe they'll say the part comes in 5 weeks. They might get it there today. And we have actually seen that happen here at the Niello company. And then best of all is, do we want our parts and service managers against each other? I say, no way. I say, bring them together. And guess what we want to do? We want to pay the parts and service managers on fixed ops gross based off of the hours forecast. So this is why I get so excited about hours and then bringing the whole department together. So let's just talk about it. The first thing we want to talk about is, how do we get our forecast? The forecast is, it's not just saying I got 23 days, I'm going to time 23 days times blank hours, and boom, I got my number. But we want a number that we can actually use in a pay plan sheet and also explain to the technician, to the writer, to the parts person, of course, and to our managers, how that number is come up with. So here's it goes. It starts with knowing your total hours per day and month. Does your team know your number one KPI? And we want to build our pay plans around it. What we see behind me, sometimes you'll see the screen come up, is that we have TVs in all of our stores, Ted. And what we talk about is we talk about those KPIs that we want them to look at. The top dog technicians, the top dog writers. And we always talk about hours. I never talk about gross profit. We talk about how many hours they sold, the percentage of their forecast. When it comes to technicians, we talk about their recs per, like we talked with David. We talk about how much percentage of their hours forecast. And you know what's good? It's good to be on top. It's good to be in the green. It makes them proud. And then, of course, we have those great awards that we like to give out monthly and yearly to our technicians and writers. What we do at the Niello company is we have the 3,000-hour technician at the end of the year, and we have the millionaire writer in gross profit. It is a big number, and it's a very exclusive club to be in. And it's super excited that we bring all this greatness together, and then we push it out to all of our 10 stores. So let's talk about how do we build the hours forecast. I feel this is really important, and it's super easy, because if you're going to go around and talk about hours instead of saying I need to be $1 million today, is that we got to have this forecast, right? Because when we talk about how the day was at the Niello company, is that we don't say I sold $4 trillion. I don't know what that number is. Is that a good number? Is that a bad number? But if I say I sold 400 hours and I am at 110% of my forecast, now I know that they're doing a magnificent job. Versus, I always like to say, I sold my store did 600,000 today, and I look at them like, is that a really good job or not? I don't know, because I don't know if they sold their forecast for that month. So let's work on building that forecast. And it starts with hours per day for your technicians. Now, some brands, I think, struggle a little bit. And I believe, and there are some brands that don't. I think that when you look at the Asian imports, these guys are rocking and rolling. And if you look at, like, I would say, some of our struggled brands that have a tough time, we can use 9 hours. And the reason I use 9 or 10 is Tully says, hey, it's 8 hours a day. But I haven't found a tech yet that wants to work get paid 8 hours a day. I think most of them want 8 and 9 and 10 and 12 hours a day. So our goal is let's set that standard out. And 10 hours is a great way to start because it's also easy math. I also like my lube techs, or I would say the service drive, or the techs that are doing the oil changes, is I give them half rates. I give them, say, a 5 instead of a 10 hours because they're doing the small jobs. They're the ones that are running back and forth to the parts counter. They're the ones going out and finding the keys that might take them a half an hour. So we want to give them the opportunity to make it. So, and two is that when you look at your hourlies, we want them to think hours. We want them to think their forecast as they work hard to become journeyman technicians. So we want to put them at half. So what are our tech schedules? We're working. We talk about working. We talk about training. We talk about if they're off on vacation. And this all comes down to where we want to count the W's. So think about this. We look at a calendar, and I'll bring it up right here, is we look at a calendar, and I have the first 10 days here, is I put in an H for the holiday. That was January 1st. I put O's for the offs, and I put the W's for the works. And you notice I have the top guy, and he set it at T for training, because we don't want to count training, because training is one of the most important things we can do for our technicians. We've got to make sure that they're fully trained. So we don't want to discourage that. We want to pay them their daily rate, and we want them to go to training, and we don't want it to sacrifice on that forecast. So I go in here and put it here. So now when we look at the times, we look at the top tech has 16 days. The next one has 20, and the next one has 21. It's based on their schedule. We know now what's going to happen. One thing I also like to do is that during the month, we know that sometimes training comes up. We know that sometimes there's emergencies where people have to take some time off due to family issues. We allow the forecast to change throughout the month. Now, if you're taking a day off because there's no work, that does not count. If you take more than 2 days off, it's more of a vacation, and we allow them to change that. Because we want the forecast to be a believable number from the technician to the writer to the porter to whoever is paid on it. We got to believe that working number is a real number. So now here we are, we're building that forecast. Now we have a total of 118 days. That's a great looking number right there. So now what we want to do is that now when we look at the W's is that we now have the total available hours. And here comes that sheet up there. There's our total 118 days. We have 4 training days just to keep it up. There's no vacation, and there's their days off because those are the zeros. And there's our total hours. So now we have 10 hours a day for the first 5 technicians, and the bottom tech has 5 hours because he's an hourly. So our total goal for the month is 1,075 hours. So now when I'm talking to my team, we say, hey, we're tracking 180 hours. You're over 100%. We're tracking 800. We have some work to do, right? We know now what a good job is. The good job is selling 175 hours. Now, I understand owners sometimes say, Tully, my expenses don't change in February. But I like to say this, is that I'm not talking about expense, because we can do so much better when we come to income, is that the forecast has to be a real number for each month. So now we've built the forecast. We've got the hours in. Is now we want to do is we want to work on how do we get the rider's schedule and how do we get the hours per day our superstar riders must sell. So just like the technicians, we have those working days. This gives us the total days worked. So now there's the fun part. We're going to divide the total hours into total working days and gives us our goal. And look at here. I have 2 advisors because I have 6 techs, so 3 each. And now it comes out to where we're 26.2 hours a day. And the top rider has 524 hours. And the rider number 2 has 550 hours. Now, why does the rider at the bottom have more? Because he's working 1 extra day, but his hours per goal day for each rider is the same. So now with this number, guess what we can do? We can go out to that rider every day and said, how are you doing today? I sold 15 hours or 11 short, bro. Right? We're working in and we're talking about how do we sell our day and how do we make a great day? And I call green days. So if we sold at this store 52.4 hours, it would be a green day. We sold 100% of our forecast hours. Now we know how our stores are doing. And we know that there's ups and downs when it comes to parts holds and so forth like that. But this all averages out and it all makes sense because now everybody understands when you're at 90, you're yellow and you kind of suck. If you're under 90 and red, you suck. And if you're over 100%, you're green. And if you're over 110%, you're in the bonus money on your pay plan and your store is rocking and rolling. So now we've got it where our porters, our technicians, our parts people, our foremans, our service writers, managers, owners, and general managers all know how our store is performing every day when we look at our forecast for the month and our daily hours sold every day. So now we have these numbers here is that we talk about the best KPI, right? Hours per day, hours per month. And we pay on this number. We talk about this number. We talk about green days. So when we have those team huddles with our technicians, we talk about what? We talk about problems in the day, parts and so forth. But when it really boils down to how do we bring people together, we talk about tech recs like we talked earlier before. And we talk about, are we hitting our forecast numbers? Is it a green day today with our techs? When we have those team huddles with our service advisors, we're talking about where are we standing? What are we doing with parts? And now we're talking about where are we on our forecast for each advisor. This is the exciting part. Next is when we come here, is now we're talking about the pay plans. How do we bring everybody together? And we got to make sure that the pay plans are keeping the teams together. Because what happens normally? Parts and service people fight each other. Managers and advisors, sometimes the pay plans don't agree. And technicians is versus everybody else. The technicians like everybody's trying to get me. So now we want to do is we want to bring those people together and bring those pay plans so they all mash. So here's our example. Technicians and advisors on this sheet. Our technicians, our foremans, here's the deal. If they hit 110% of their hours and we have CSI, they get an additional $1,000. And as you notice, I have 4 categories. So if we're under 90%, they get $250. It should be 0. If we're at 99 to 100, we get 500. And of course, 100 to 110, 750. And if you're 110% of your hours forecast, $1,000. Now we talk about our service advisors, and Tully says that people say, Tully, well, what happens if they sell hours for no money? We all know that does not work. And that's what we work on margins. And that's another topic one day about margins. But here's the deal, is that we're going to start looking at how do they get paid. We are going to give them a percentage of the gross, parts and service gross niche. But here's the deal. The percentage is based on the hours forecast. If you want to maximize your pay plan, you need to be 110%. You'll be at 9%. Now, here's the best part, the part scanner people, and this is where a tear comes from my eye, is that when we're 110%, the parts guy, the parts person, the people that keep our technicians working every day get an additional $3,050. But here's the fun part about this. Now we see the parts guy saying, how close are we to our percentage? How close are we percentage? I'll go get the part down the street. When did we ever hear a parts counter guy ever say that? Never! They don't even know how to get off the stool. Now we are out there, Johnny on the spot. How can we help these technicians? Because we're all in it together. And last but not least, the managers. It's very similar to the service advisors. They paid on parts and service gross and wholesale. Throw all that crap in there. It doesn't matter. We put the pile together. If their hours forecast is 110% to get 1.9% of the gross profit plus a base. So now we have our 4 key pillars of everybody on the same one. So here we go. We wrap it all together. It's all about the hours, not the dollars. Focus on those few KPIs. Make your pay plans, enforce it. And the best part of all, what I talk about every day, Ted, it's all about those green days.
Tully Williams cracking the code on both the hours and the pay plans. Genius. And, for a service manager getting started in their shop and saying, how do I measure all this? How do I account for it? You just gave us the code, Tully.
Well, I sure appreciate it. And if anybody wants that, that worksheet I have, I'm more than happy to hand those out to anybody else. But it's just that we're getting back to the basics of the hours and how we can make it happen.
Tully Williams' contact information is at the bottom of the screen. Tully Williams, so honored to have you back at the Fixed Ops Roundtable where you belong. Love it, Tully. Great job as always. Keep up the fantastic work, and we're really, really, really honored and a pleasure to have you at the Fixed Ops Roundtable again.
Well, it's an honor and a privilege, Ted and Gene, what you are doing for the Fixed Ops world. Nobody had this avenue to listen and to learn from. So we, service managers, service directors, and all the people in the Fixed Ops want to thank you both, especially for making this happen. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Tully. You always bring the spark. You always bring the fire. That's what Rev It Up is all about. And if you want more, you need to stay with us. Just ahead, we've got a lot more coming. Thanks for being here. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable, everyone. I'm Gene Girdley with Ted Ings, our host, and our special guest back at Rev It Up once again is a fan favorite, Owen Moon. Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Hey, Gene. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Owen and Gene, we've seen so many great presenters and panels this past day and a half, and it's really exciting and honorable to welcome back Owen Moon to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Owen, I remember when you presented at the Beverly Hilton in September of 2019, and we had everybody in the big, restaurant area because we had to rent the restaurant out that day. And I remember you telling me, now look, I gotta catch a plane, so I gotta go early that day, so I gotta get as much time in. So I tell you, you stole the show with who was that? Was that Sleepy Stan? Was it?
Yes. Yeah. I introduced Sleepy Stan that day, and I think it went off pretty well. So I used him a few times throughout that time frame on some of my presentations. But we've retired Sleepy Stan. He's long into retirement at this point.
All right. So I know you've got some exciting stuff for us. So with that, I'm going to let you go ahead and take the stage.
Yeah, appreciate it. Well, thanks for having me. Like as usual, I'm super excited to be here. One of the things that I wanted to talk about today was something that we've been working on over the last 6 months with our dealer clients, and there's been some great data or statistics that have come out that have really kind of just really helped with what we're doing and really give us some validity in what we're doing. So my presentation today is going to be called "Video is the Future," and video really is the future. And so as many of you know, Fixed Ops Digital, we are automotive's premier service marketing and technology company. We work with dealerships all over the country and Canada, and even over in Guam. We have a client that we do some work with over there as well. And our whole focus is to help provide a better user experience for your service customers when they come to your website, as well as when they go online, and really create an infrastructure that can really help you grow your business. We focus on all areas of the fixed ops department, from service to parts, tires, accessories, even collision, if you have a collision department. And so one of the things that I'm going to show you guys today is kind of how we've brought video into our solution to really drive some of these statistics that we're seeing. So the first stat that I ran into recently is from Cisco, and it says that by 2022, online videos are going to make up more than 82% of all consumer internet traffic. Now, that's a great number, but what makes it even better is that 15 times higher than it was in 2017. So there's definitely a growth in video, but it's even growing at a much rapid pace than I think anybody ever would have expected. Next stat that I kind of wanted to talk about with video being the future is that according to HubSpot, 71% of people watch more video now than they did even a year ago. And that's probably not a stat that everybody says, oh wow, that's a cutting edge stat, I didn't know about that. Here's what's exciting about it. A lot of platforms are starting to really gear towards video, right? Facebook, you have all of these video platforms that you can integrate into your CRM in the auto industry. Even a new app that's kind of taken over called Clubhouse is all designed around video. And I think that's something that we see. Not only is it more of a way that people want to get information and communicate, but also because these platforms are making it a lot easier. It's no reason why people would not be using video more than other areas of their of how they gather that information. And then lastly, and I think this is probably the biggest stat that I saw, was that 72% of customers would rather learn more about a product or service by way of video. So, what does that mean, right? That means that if you are a dealership and you are trying to get your information out to your consumer base, video is becoming more and more of that type of play. So you have to put together a very robust video strategy. And, that's tough. A lot of dealerships aren't set up for that. So obviously, to have a good partner and have a partner that does it right is more important than it's ever been. So how do we use video, right? What are some ways that people are using video? Well, video is being used for information. Again, according to HubSpot, nearly 50% of internet users look for videos related to a product or service before they actually visit your store. In addition to that, when we look at it from a dealership standpoint, right? Our drive service solution, or when our dealerships work with us, we've really focused on information and getting the kind of setting your dealership apart from other competitors in the market. Most importantly, the independents, right? So when you look at things like, why service with us? What are the amenities that your dealership offers? Do you have any express service options? Do you offer alternative transportation like pickup and delivery? Obviously, are you showcasing your services with specials, coupons, different things like that? And do you provide easy online scheduling on your website? These are all things that we focus on every day when it comes to building out good, rich content and getting that information on your website. But imagine how much more effective that would be if you were able to do it through video. And here's an example of what we're talking about with our why service video.
That's a nice clean video. I like that a lot, Owen. Beautiful.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. We have a great production team. So, obviously you get the difference, right? The difference between content and then also when you enhance it with video. So moving on, let's talk a little bit about what else video can be used for. Video can be used for marketing, right? According to HubSpot, again, HubSpot's got some great data out right now. 81% of businesses use video as a marketing tool. That's up over 63% over the last year. So, as I kind of mentioned, marketers always kind of follow the consumers, right? If the consumer is using the video, using video to get information, obviously that's where marketers want to be. And marketers have done a really good job of recognizing this and starting to push their marketing strategy towards that. Now, another way that we can use video is for organic search, which is also obviously a piece of marketing. According to Conversion XL, video increases organic search traffic on a website by 157%. Really, this is the way we do it, and I won't get into the nuts and bolts of how we do it. But what our goal is to try to drive more quality website traffic into your website, service traffic into your website. So one thing that's nice about using like YouTube and kind of the way that we build all of this infrastructure for our dealerships is that it gives us another seat at the table. You can see by this image, if someone types in Chevy tire and then the city and state that they're in, you're going to see us basically dominating the first three positions. The first thing you're going to see is our tire page. Well, obviously, that's a nice piece of rich content that we built for SEO purposes to show up number one in that particular search. And then you're going to see the website. Well, the website obviously has authority because it's in the city and the state that that customer or that dealership resides. But the third listing is going to be which is our YouTube video. Again, some people like to read about their information. Some people like to use YouTube. And likes to use video. So by us having that third position, it gives us another seat at the Google table. And ultimately, what it's doing is pushing your competitors down. Another thing that we use our videos is in landing pages. Unbounce says that including a video on your landing page can boost your conversion rates by up to 80%. So one thing that you'll notice on our tire department pages that we have is that you're going to notice the tire video that I'm about to show you here right now. Again, having video that complements the content or the piece of information that customer is looking at gives us more opportunity to really win that customer. So let's go ahead and look at our tire tread video that kind of goes with this type of strategy.
The results are in on the effect worn tires have on stopping distance. At 60 miles per hour on a wet road, 3 sets of tires, each with different tread depths, and 1 professional driver. When the driver accelerated to 60 miles per hour, watch what happened when he tried to stop. While your actual distances may vary, it took him nearly 10 additional car lengths to stop on worn tires. So when will you stop? Ask about our complimentary tire inspections. At Germain Toyota of Naples, we stock the manufacturer-recommended and engineered tires for your vehicle.
So again, just an example of another video that we produced that talks about tire tread, really ties into somebody that might be looking for tires. So let's finish up with another big way that people are using video. Video is for social media. The marketing helpline says that social media posts with video acquire 48% more views. And that's to be expected. If more people want to use video to get their information, having video on your Facebook campaigns or other social media like YouTube is going to be a great way for those customers to learn more about your product, learn more about your dealership or your business, and really give them the information that they're looking for. And finally, video promotions are now equally as popular as photo promotions on Facebook. For a long time, we've seen a lot of static ads on Facebook. and from inventory ads to branding ads, different things like that. We always look at a lot of pictures, a lot of picture images on there. Well, now what we're finding out is more and more people are actually using video to help promote those same products and services. And this stat by Social Bakers actually really validates that, and makes me just really understand that, hey, not only is video important, but it's obviously becoming more and more important at a very rapid rate. So let's just talk a little bit about some of the summary, or let's talk about what we went over today. Dealerships need to develop a video marketing strategy for your fixed ops department. Obviously, with all the stats that I went over, the consumer is asking for it, so we need to deliver. The problem is a lot of our fixed ops departments are already overworked. They're understaffed and they don't have the resources. So obviously finding a company like Fixed Ops Digital, for example, would be a great way to sort of know that, hey, this part of our business is being handled, and it's being handled correctly. It's not using, code injected type software. It's not using, videos that don't get a lot of engagement. You want to make sure that when you pick a partner for this type of strategy, that they know what they're doing. And then the second thing is that customers should be able to find your videos both on your website to get that information they're looking for, but then also when they're searching for Google. And Google is a powerful media to help drive consumers that may not have already found you. They're definitely not people that are past customers. These are people that have possibly never been to your website before, and we want to help drive them in, using video as part of our strategy. And finally, your videos should be used within other marketing strategies like Facebook, YouTube pre-roll, OTT. The list goes on. I know Hulu just announced that they're coming out with their own marketing platform for their platform as well. So there's no doubt that today is the day that you really should take control of your digital marketing. Make sure that you have a solid foundation, add video, and you will see a huge uptick in the number of people visiting your website, and then from there scheduling a service or calling into your service department to get more information. So with that, I'm going to take some questions. I guess if anybody has any questions on what I went over today or wants to discuss some strategies a little deeper, I am definitely available.
I have an idea.
Yes, sir.
I think what we do, and by the way, great topic, video. I mean, such common sense, and it's for fixed ops, and you take the guesswork out of it, where the dealership can hand everything off to you, and you take care of it. And you're experienced in this. You don't have to they don't have to go through a learning curve on their own, tax their staff from doing things that they need to be doing. Let's go ahead and put up a QR code on the screen. And okay, folks, rather than have you reach out to me and say, hey, how do I get a hold of Owen Moon after the event? We're going to let you do that right now. So if you put up your phone and open the camera, scan the QR code, and we'll provide that to all of you right now. You can go ahead and meet with Owen right after this segment, one-on-one in a Zoom room, and ask some questions, do some networking, find out more about Fixed Ops Digital, how they can apply some of these tactics to your dealership and help you achieve success here in the new year. So
yeah, I'd love to. That would be great. I'll definitely hang on here for a little while, and anybody wants to chat, let me know. We'll definitely have some great conversation. I wish we could do it over a cup of coffee in real life, but virtually will be just as great. So
he's got a pretty good golf game too, and we tried to figure out how to go ahead and do this virtually, teeing off. But I think this is going to be the next best thing. So everybody, Owen Moon here today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Stand by, and you can go ahead and meet with him one-on-one right after the segment.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks a lot, Owen. And Ted, always great information from Owen and the team at Fixed Ops Digital. And there's much more still to come on day 2 of Rev It Up at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.